Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, kids.
Thank you so much for joining us again in another podcast. But we want to wrap up with kind of the things that we normally wrap up with. First, we want to talk about our fantasy and give you guys a little bit of an update, things that we're thinking about. And by we, I mean Andrew, because I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, that's fine. My team won, so I'm happy to talk about it.
I'm in really bad shape.
Oh boy.
Like, I have a worse than Giants record right now almost all 6 of my leagues, and I've kind of resolved myself to just kind of experimenting for the next few weeks.
Gotcha.
It's been not good.
Yeah.
There was a moment on Sunday where I was sitting and staring at my lineup, and I was trying to decide if I wanted to play Will Fuller the fifth in my flex or put Chase Edmonds in and take a chance on him. And at 12:50, I finally said, you know what, I'm running with Fuller, and that ended up being a horrible mistake.
You never know with this game, really.
It's really it's gotten to be really hard. But tell me about what you've been up to.
Well, I left Marvin Jones on the bench over the weekend.
Oh.
Marvin Jones had 4 touchdowns, and in my league put up 33.3 points.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Also, I've been sitting Austin Eckler because I haven't been sure about his status with Melvin Gordon back. Eckler had a couple of touchdowns and had 18.5 points. I did win. My opponent had one player put up more than 10 points, and that was the 49ers defense because it was a 9-0 slop fest.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson continues to do Lamar things for me, and it's great. He had over 20 points this week. My problem is that he's on a bye week next week.
Oh.
I only have one quarterback on my team at the moment.
So you got to get rid of somebody.
I got to get rid of somebody. However, I have found the person that I'm going to get rid of. It's David Montgomery.
Yeah.
For the Chicago Bears.
It's time.
Because he's been absolutely worthless thus far. Let me just read you these numbers really quickly.
Sure.
For the first 6 weeks of his season here. 4.5, 12.8 with a touchdown, 8.1, 6.7, 9.6, negative 0.1.
Yeah.
In every game that he has been slated to start, his projection has been over 10 points.
Yeah.
And I don't know why ESPN continues to rank David Montgomery up there with running backs that are that caliber when he's just not good.
No.
It is not working in Chicago, and they need to figure something else out on offense. They're lucky that defense is really good.
Well, and it's funny because I remember a few weeks ago I was talking about how I had Montgomery, Tyreek Cohen, and James White, and I was like, oh, they're all the same kind of running back, and that has really just proven to be not true. The more you learn as you go.
This is right.
And sometimes you got to say goodbye.
That's right. My wide receivers were really good over the weekend. I said John Brown got me 17 points. I lied. It was only 14 points. But T.Y. Hilton had 13 points, a couple touchdowns. And Austin Hooper, despite losing 37-10 to the Rams, had a touchdown at the end of the game and had over 10 points. I'm real happy with my decision to stick with Austin Hooper as my tight end. He's the number 1 scoring tight end in fantasy this year. But yeah, next week, I'm without Lamar Jackson, so I need a quarterback. So my options are Gardner Minshew, Daniel Jones, or Jacoby Brissett. Who do you like out of the 3? I've got basically who I think I'm going to pick up, but I want to know your thoughts.
You know, I think I picked up Gardner Minshew after I had to get rid of Trubisky, and it's been a little inconsistent, but I think it's a fair shot for right now. That said, again, we don't know if he's going to be playing a whole lot for the rest of the season. We don't know what's going to happen when Foles comes back. Jacoby Brissett, I think, is a great option.
I think so, too. Yeah, he's playing Denver at home.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Denver's got the 3rd-ranked pass defense in football, I think Jacoby Brissett can make some work with his legs.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with him, honestly. I don't know that I trust Daniel Jones at Detroit. And while I do like Gardner Minshew, that Jets defense is going to be playing angry next week.
Breaking news right now as we're recording this podcast.
Okay.
Emmanuel Sanders has been traded to the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, I didn't see that one coming.
Yep.
There you go.
So
really?
That'll be an interesting one, actually. Is Emmanuel Sanders on a lot of waivers right now? Is that a thing? What % is he owned?
Is he in... hold on one sec. I got it right here. He's owned in my league.
That's
for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
If he's not owned, he might be someone to pick up because the Niners are doing Niners things.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
He's rostered
doing vintage
83.8% of leagues for Emmanuel Sanders.
Okay. Well, if he's
That'll
not
be-
owned.
That'll be something to look into. It's kind of tough to do a breaking news thing when we don't have all the sources available. But
Right.
Emmanuel Sanders on the 49ers now. At
Yeah.
the top. Another target for Garoppolo to throw to. I like that.
Very, very exciting.
That's good. So you didn't want to talk about yours.
No,
Your fantasy league.
I really don't want to.
All right.
It's been really it's been a rough time coming, and maybe if something interesting happens this week, I will reconsider. But right now, I think the name of the game is experimenting and maybe throwing in some of the guys who've been performing really well on my bench, who every week I consistently say like, oh, you know what if they don't do the same thing this week, and then they do. So, and then meanwhile, the less consistent guys like Will Fuller the fifth, and I'd even say Tariq Cohen, it's less consistent with them. So I think I'm going to definitely play the waiver wire, try and orchestrate some really interesting trades just for science.
Yeah, why not?
And see what happens.
That's right.
You know what? Why not?
Cool. You want to move on?
I want to move on.
Great. Let's wrap it up here. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Something we don't normally do, which is talk about a sport other than football.
Right.
The World Series is underway.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out. I'm going to do both. Astros leading the series 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
Nationals leading the series 1-0. This is a really fun, unexpected World Series that we've got here.
Yeah. It's, honestly, I unfortunately was not surprised when the Yankees kind of shit the bed. It was really close, and it was a good fight. And after that game 2 of the Astros-Yankees series, I was kind of like, well, that's it.
We're gonna talk
It was
about
fun.
we're gonna talk about Roberto Osuna in a minute from the Astros. Neither of those two guys, neither Osuna or Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every time I watch them play, they're both blowing saves.
Right.
I just don't. I'm not really afraid of either one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
The Nationals have kind of done something extraordinary this season in getting rid of their star player and somehow leaving him in the dust as they make it to the top. And, I hate to say it, I'm kind of happy for them.
Oh no, I am too. That's great. That's great for them. I love that. Honestly, like screw Bryce Harper. Like, good for them.
Yeah.
For putting that behind them and getting all the way to the World Series.
So,
in a sweep. They've got great pitching, by the way.
Yeah.
Between Scherzer and Strasburg, who was the Nationals' first-round draft pick when they came into the league in 2005, is finally playing in a World Series. I think that's a great story. It's like your first 3 games for each team are ace versus ace, ace versus ace, ace versus ace.
Yeah. I think we've got a really intriguing series underway.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens. Who do you got?
I like the Astros. I like the Astros in 6.
Okay.
I think that they're the Nationals haven't played in a couple of days because they finished their series in 4. The Astros took 6.
Right.
So they've got more momentum, I think. I also like Houston's offensive. I also like Houston's offense better than I like Washington's.
Okay.
How about you? What do you think?
I've got the Nationals.
In how many games?
You know what? I'm gonna make it a 7-game series.
I was gonna say anything less than 7 for the Nationals winning, I think is a bit much. So I like that.
I would say the Nationals in 7. I think again, I think it's all about momentum for this team.
Okay.
They've definitely got some superstars, but it is all about the momentum that they have built, that they're continuing to build. They've been sitting around waiting to find out who they're going to play, and then the second that happened, I know they were preparing. They're ready to show their stuff.
It's a fun rallying cry for the Nationals to have gotten this far without Bryce Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first season without Bryce Harper, they were in the World Series. I think that's pretty cool.
I agree. I wanted to, obviously, because we like to do this on our show, we like to address the topics that are of concern within sports that are beyond sports as well. And Sports Illustrated published a story yesterday. Sports Illustrated published a story earlier this week about executives saying things that they probably shouldn't have said, taunting women that they probably shouldn't have been taunting. It was kind of a mess, and then the Astros came out and released a statement that said, the story posted by Sports Illustrated is misleading and completely irresponsible. An Astros player was being asked questions about a difficult outing. Our executive was supporting the player during a difficult time. His comments had everything to do about the game situation that occurred and nothing else. They were also not directed towards any specific reporters. We are extremely disappointed in Sports Illustrated's attempt to fabricate a story where one does not exist. Now, whether or not the story exists, I have a hard time buying the idea that the executive was praising the team because take this for a second. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts is that the Astros are being stupid and they're just digging themselves into a deeper hole.
I agree.
To go out and say something like this in front of female reporters, one of whom was reportedly wearing a wristband in support of domestic violence awareness, and then go out and like outwardly deny it, is stupid. Even if you were praising the player for his efforts, he did just play in a game where he almost gave the game away.
It wasn't a good game for him.
No, it was terrible. It's a bad look for the Astros.
I think
it really, really is. And I lost my train of thought.
You also have to consider the context of what happened.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The context of what happened.
And I mean, Brandon Taubman is just standing around like holding a cigar, flinging it around, and
the general manager of the Astros, by the way.
Yes, and it's just hard to wrap my head around that not being a malicious power struggle of a situation, particularly when women today are still having a really hard time breaking into the locker room and breaking past that barrier. And one of the things I want to say also, by the way, when Andrew and I were talking about what we wanted to do this season to refine our product, one of the things that we had cut out, you guys will notice we're not drinking live on the show anymore. We're doing it in our extra content and it's always referenced. But that idea was spawned because I wanted us to be doing something different.
Yep.
When Andrew brought up the point that we already are different because our show is 50% female. And it's not something that you see. And it kind of like I have goosebumps just thinking about kind of that moment because it was like, oh yeah, this is still an issue. Like women are not, even though it is more common to see, it doesn't necessarily mean that women are accepted in these situations. And I think anything other than an apology from the Astros is completely obtuse to the situation that happened. I mean, it's a difficult topic to kind of tackle when, there are women in sports media who every day are doing amazing work. And the women of Sports Illustrated, particularly considering all the backfire that their magazine, their brand has gotten in the last couple of weeks with the big firings, and obviously those are huge issues, but trying to stay strong and hold down their jobs, the whole situation kind of came off as if it had been me, I would have felt threatened.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I mean, we were talking about the context of this as well. Just because you went out and got a player who helps your team, mm-hmm. I get the whole, thank goodness we got this guy who came through in this clutch situation. Everybody is aware of the context of what Roberto Osuna has done. Mm-hmm. He was already suspended for 75 games for doing something like this. I don't care about the situation. That's not something that you do. And thank you for coming through with all this research and these remarks. It's really excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's hard because I was talking to a fellow female sports writer about this last night. We were just texting, and it's so hard to want to work in sports because generally just in journalism, that is something that seems to be kind of pushed back on. There's just a lot of like, oh, sports, that's not real journalism. And it's situations like this that makes it real journalism. And it's been really nice to see the environment of women in sports media kind of coming out and supporting the women who felt threatened and felt belittled in this situation. That said, all of the columns that are being written about it that I've seen in the last 24 hours have been written by men. And while that's great, it's great to have that kind of support. Is it really there if it's being said by the party that isn't the hurt or the victim?
Right, I got you.
And it's not going to happen until the men step forward. So it's something that I can appreciate as someone who works in the media, but it's just proof that there's so much more to do.
Yeah.
You know?
It's well said.
Thanks.
Very good.
So on that very serious note, we're gonna let you guys go.
Yeah.
And enjoy your week.
Halloween next week.
Halloween next week.
Do you know what you're gonna be?
No.
Okay.
Because you shut down
Can you please be something other than Kim Possible?
Oh, it's so annoying.
Please,
Okay.
I know it's easy, but you can do better. I know you can.
I will come up with something extravagant. It's going to be really fun.
Okay, check the live stream next week, and you'll get to see us, and we'll take pictures or whatever, or something like that.
And also keep your eyes posted on our social media. We're going to try to get to the bet that I lost this coming week.
Yep, spill your guts, spill your guts. We'll post that on we'll put it all together, post it on Facebook or YouTube or something.
Yeah.
This isn't going away by Instagram Live. How dare you?
I'm just horrified already by the prospect of what could happen. But yeah, please do follow us on all of our social media. Our handle is at UFR Vodcast. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. You can also catch the recap of our show at lastwordonprofootball.com. That should come out sometime throughout the day on Thursday, around the time that this podcast gets released. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns that you'd like for us to address, obviously feel free to shoot us an email. Our email is andrewandkata@gmail.com. We're looking forward to hearing all about y'all's weeks and dishing out advice and dealing with your qualms, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm Andrew.
I'm Kata.
Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys.